That's a little loud. What the hell? Hold on. That's a little loud. All right. I think it's starting. All right. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. First Week Podcast here with the man, Big Jim, James Nies. As always, regular on the pod with me. What's up, bud?
Yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah, it's kind of becoming a frequent thing, and I'm not upset about that either. Especially because we trim some of the we trim some of the bad meat off with having Kyle on. No, I'm just kidding. You know, we know I love Kyle. We know I love my man Kyle.
Kyle's the guy, man. Kyle's the guy.
You know. Now
By the way, Vince McMahon right now, if he's watching this, if you ever get a chance to watch this on YouTube, which by the way, folks, the podcast is now mostly on YouTube as well as the clips. Earnestly Media is on YouTube now. I'm not gonna promise every episode's video because there's certain guests doesn't want to do video. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna force it. But at least my solo pods and Big Jim has a problem doing on video. Just check it out, YouTube. Earnestly Media on YouTube. I was just saying, Vince McMahon will love you right now. That backdrop and that.
I swear, the fact that I'm not, sponsored or at least thrown, free shirts or something on a regular basis is some sort of a travesty. Because
it does add to the whole aura of what people say about you that you already WWE mark. It does add to the argument, though. I ain't gonna lie.
There's much like just about any story that there's the truth is somewhere in the middle. We'll say that.
Yeah. Now I noticed you going kind of ham on Bobby Lashley in the background there. I got the almighty Bobby Lashley in the far right corner. You got the business shirt right there on the left. Folks, you see the YouTube page. You'll see it. I mean, he won. He's a champ. I mean,
this guy, dude. I've been a misfit since the real world, my friend.
Yes.
But you know what? And I was totally wrong because last week on 3 Count, I predicted that he would that I thought Drew would get involved last night and that it would be like a triple threat or something at Fastlane. I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger on it last night because I thought, you know what? Like, Miz is champion. Like I saw people tweeting last week, like, I'm here for just watching what the Miz does as champion so I thought, they're going to play this out for about a month, but they went for it. And I mean, I love it. I mean, here's the deal. You go back and you listen to 3 Count a year ago, year plus. I've never been a Bobby Lashley guy. He just never, I had taken a break from wrestling around his original run. And
2005, 2006.
Yeah, something like that. So he never connected with me and never really got into him in Impact. I'm not a MMA guy. So he was never really for me. And then, obviously the Lana wedding angle and all of that was just,
bad.
And, I mean, it got people talking, which, ratings and YouTube clicks are key, but ever since the MVP pairing and the Hurt Business, I mean, my God, this guy absolutely deserves it, and I'm here for it, man.
Well, it's funny, like we'll talk about the Lana, whole Lana angle, him getting married right before, Miro, formerly Rusev, leaves the company, and to be honest with you, while it was a bad angle, at least he was doing something at the time.
Sure.
Because before that, he was losing to freaking Braun Strowman in like Extreme Rules. There was nothing going on for him.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? And now we're at a point, obviously, but you can argue that Lana angle did put some eyeballs because while it was panned, and you may mention this on this podcast and even on 3 Count way back when, even though people hate it, the angle, it was still some of the highest number viewed YouTube videos on the network on the WWE account.
Yeah, one of the segments I remember the day after Raw. I mean, 12 hours after it was uploaded was at like 1.3 million views, and by the time the next episode of Raw aired, it was like it had almost like 6 million views or something like that. And I was like, look, I'm not saying it's a good angle. I'm saying that if people are watching it, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, and that's the thing. And whether or not that, Do I think that sitting there, because the wedding was the last Raw in December 2019. Do I think that they
like ages ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think that they sat there on January 1st, 2020 and said Bobby Lashley's going to be world champion in a year and a month? Hell no. Hell no. However, like it got eyes on him, like you said, and then MVP's back in the mix. I don't know who the person. I'm waiting for the Pritchard show 10 years from now. We can find out who was the person that
that's gonna be great.
Put the Hurt Business together. And maybe it was MVP. Maybe it's like, look, I want to do this. And they kind of put it together. Whoever it was, my gosh, I mean, spectacular. Like, I think it was I don't think it was the first week. I think it was like the second week that pairing started to come together. I was like, oh, okay. I think I can get into this. And it just went from there.
I remember hearing rumblings, around that time before they actually became official, that they wanted to do a nation domination type thing, and I had mixed views about that. I was like, okay, I love factions. I love factions, but it has to make sense.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with all black factions, especially, but it has to make sense. And I don't think you can do nation domination today in 2021.
No,
I don't think it'll work the same way because it's just a little more touchy. But what they did with this faction, phenomenal, clean cut, glossy. These guys got suits.
It's almost like the Nation of Domination meets Evolution in a way.
Yes,
because like you have the old guard, which is Ric Flair to MVP. You have the guy who's kind of in that main event picture, at least now, Triple H to Bobby Lashley.
Right.
The only comparison that's a little off would be like Batista and Randy Orton during Evolution were both like rising young stars. Obviously, Shelton's been around for a very long time, but it just kind of has that feel to it,
right?
Because it's genuine guys that they kind of needed a direction, and as a group, they've become kind of unstoppable.
So where do you see this going? Because I mean, it's cool that he wins the title on Raw. Not to be picky here, I would have preferred to be on a pay-per-view with more eyeballs and much more bigger stage. But I really hope that Vince and the guys really consider giving this guy a nice run with his title.
I hope so too, and I really. My fear is because I've seen hypothesis both ways. I've seen that people think he's going to get a decent run here, but I've also seen kind of the hypothesis that he wins it now and he'll get a rematch with Drew at WrestleMania, and Drew will get that moment of a crowd at WrestleMania. I don't necessarily tend to buy into that, especially. I don't know if you saw it, and let me pull it up exactly. It was from WWE on Fox, on Twitter. But they've already kind of thrown the Brock name out there already.
I saw that about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. I guess talking to Ryan Satin with Fox, Bobby Lashley, speaking on Brock Lesnar, said that match was probably not ever going to come. Didn't have anything he wanted, but I do now.
The title.
So, the fact that they're throwing it out there,
could be a swerve.
Is it
could be a swerve?
Are they just trying to get more eyes on it? But I know on 3 Count last week, we were talking about what was going to happen last night on Raw. I think it was Tim that said Bobby's going to win. And I don't know how exactly they're going to get there, but it'll be Bobby and Brock at WrestleMania. And I think that's your best way to go, because I'm really starting to feel like we are getting big matches at Mania. I was curious to see how this Mania build was going to go, because you have about a, give or take, half capacity crowd, 30,000, whatever it is. I thought these tickets are going to sell regardless. Yeah. Like, you can almost get away with like a shit.
My guys are planning. My co-host on Takes Me Wrestling are planning on going. They've gone to every WrestleMania since 2010.
That's pretty cool.
Sans last year, of course.
Right.
So,
They didn't get the ticket to be the one fan in the building, I guess.
The one fan on top of the building, yeah. That's the
know,
running joke on our podcast.
But I thought that, they can almost write this one off because people are going to go. People are going to be excited to be in a wrestling crowd for the first time in over a year. But, you have Edge and Roman Reigns. I mean, Sasha and Bianca is huge to the WWE audience now.
That's the main event right there, to be honest.
They're flirting with the idea of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, which is a marquee matchup. Whether people like it or not, Charlotte Flair is probably going to be the Raw in the Raw Women's title match. So it feels like we're getting big matches, which kind of has surprised me. So I don't think we're just going to do Drew's going to win the title again. Will he get it again this year? Probably, but I don't think it happens at WrestleMania.
I also don't know how they feel about Drew because there's no crowd to really run off of. The crowd normally is the ultimate, answer to the question, and we don't have that.
And that's why I think you have to do some of those bigger matches, some of those surprise matches, some of those names that are guaranteed to get a reaction. Because we know what the reaction was with Drew at Rumble last year.
It's huge.
But that was a year and a couple months ago. So have people cooled off on him? I don't know.
Right. I'm just glad more than anything else that Bobby Lashley is being treated the way he should, like a monster. The guy is fucking huge. The guy's bigger than Brock.
Right.
He should be treated this way. That's why and it was sad because when I came back to watching the product in 2019, he was in a feud with Braun Strowman. Now, granted, Braun Strowman was pretty over at the time. I get it. But he was losing to Braun Strowman every time.
Yeah.
And to me, he was used as this like not a jobber, but definitely one of those mid-carders who didn't get much traction.
Right.
And I've always said for years that he should be a guy that's at least, if not tippy top guy, close to the main event picture. He has the look.
Did you see the video? Like they did, it kind of almost had a feel of like when the like NFL guys arrive at the building like yesterday, and like Bobby shows up. I think the WWE tweeted it out yesterday afternoon of him like suit and sunglasses and the hat.
Yeah, I saw that.
He just feels like a huge deal right now, and that's why I can buy into it because it feels like that's how Bobby Lashley is. And
you know why? MVP completes that packaging.
Oh, God.
Perfectly. He's literally Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost in the same way. It's more of an MVP style. Obviously, a little more urban, but
sure.
But it's like Bobby Lashley is not a great talker, but neither is Brock Lesnar. So you pair him with a voice, and MVP is one of the greatest voices I think we've seen in this company's history.
Absolutely.
He can talk.
Absolutely. And when Bobby Lashley speaks, when Brock Lesnar speaks, hell, now when Roman Reigns speaks, there's impact to it because it's not just them coming out. Like last week when Bobby grabbed the mic, it was like, Miz, you have an hour and I'm going to come and take your title. It was like, damn, like that shit punched. And it was great.
By the way, how I know the Lashley thing is really working so far is that I haven't watched Raw, a full episode of Raw in months. I did today. I wanted to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even though I know the results.
I thought they did a really good job, and I know there's people that are like, oh my God, why'd they do, the thing where they did 9 o'clock, they did it 10 o'clock, and then it runs out to the end.
Oh, it's great.
That's storytelling.
Yeah.
If you tune in, if you know the match is going to be at 9, you're going to tune in at 9. The match is over. You're probably going to tune out. But like, even if you don't stay with the show, if they tell you, look, the match is going to be at 9, you're going to come back at 9 o'clock. And then Miz has the bubble guts, and they say, okay, the match is going to be at 10. All right, well, I have 40 minutes now where I can go do something, but I got to be back. I want to see this match at 10. Same thing when Miz runs away. Then you're like, well, what the hell's going to happen now? And then Shane's deciding, what am I going to do? Pierce is deciding, what am I going to do? That makes you have to stay with it. And now the overall rating I saw today was down, but again, as we've talked before, standard overnight live viewership ratings aren't exactly the same and measured the same as they were back in the day. because of DVRs and things like that. But the third hour was up from last week, which tells you people wanted to see what was going to happen with the WWE Championship.
Only thing I got wrong last night was the fact I thought Bad Bunny would cost him the match, but
I know there's people scared about that too. I didn't think that Bad Bunny was going to get involved with the WWE Championship, especially if the title was going to change.
Right.
Because the title was going to change, you have to make Lashley look legitimate. And here's the thing: when they brought out the lumberjacks, I'm like, oh no, because we've seen lumberjack matches can get silly.
Right.
But last night,
lots of Gaga.
Exactly, and I get it. But when Miz came out of the ring, he pretty much got thrown right back in. There was only one time where he didn't. Retribution's looking at him. Guess what? Here comes Cedric and Shelton. They throw his ass back.
Back in the ring.
They're protecting the business. And, the last night was the first time in a long time that a lumberjack match went off as fairly standard business for what a lumberjack match should be.
Right. And like I said, I hope we see a nice run for Bobby going forward. We'll see. Staying on Raw real quick, because something we've been talking about actually on social media. I was live tweeting the Raw last, I should say live tweeting, because I watched it today. But I live tweeted some of my thoughts while watching it.
I usually do that with like NXT when I watch it Thursday mornings.
Right. So, the Raw's women's division, like I think SmackDown's women's division is fine,
just fine.
I think Raw seems to be a little bit of a mess, a little bit of a uninteresting. I mean, you almost forget that Asuka's the champion.
Yeah.
It's weird, right? And Asuka's phenomenal.
Well, she was tied in with the tag division for too long, and I get what they were trying to do. Right. They were trying to add legitimacy to the tag titles, and I think they were starting to get that right finally after 3 years or something.
Right.
But it's kind of been at the expense of the Raw Women's title.
Yeah. And I think the issue with that division is actually self-inflicted. I think they're booking horribly. It's not a lack of talent. They have the bodies necessary to do this. I mean, I said it today on Twitter. Like, you want to fix this problem? First off, I don't think the women's tag titles honestly has any, not relevance, but I think right now, if you want to put it to the shelf for a little while, I wouldn't be mad about that.
I think what they need to do with the women's tag team titles is have Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai win them this week on NXT.
Send it down to NXT.
And because there's so much talent in the NXT women's division where I've seen people say, does there need to be a secondary title, singles title? No, get the tag titles in there and work some. You just came off a tag team tournament, so you have tag teams, and that'll get people to care more about the tag team titles, so that when they're defended on Raw or defended on SmackDown, and you can do that without moving Raquel and Dakota to Raw or SmackDown,
right?
But have them defend them on there or on a pay-per-view every now and again, and that gets the eyes on that product. That can also get people to pay attention to NXT. So yeah, move the tag titles, focus on your singles division, big time.
Yeah, and basically my opinion is this: break up Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler. Shayna should be dominant. That she's been misused. She really has. She can't talk. I get that, but you fix that with pairing her with somebody, pairing her with an MVP, pairing her with some mouthpiece. You have options. Use it.
The pairing of Nia and Shayna Baszler, or Team Shania that we've affectionately called them. I mean, that to me the biggest
still the one.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if they don't have something in the women's division, the singles division for her, I'm kind of fine with Shayna Baszler in the tag division, especially because a lot of times when you're watching the matches, she's the featured star out of that team. It's kind of, and I'm not comparing them, move for move, ability to ability, but think of like the old Hart Foundation, Brett and the Anvil. Brett was the worker. Brett was the guy that was going to work 25 minutes out of a 30-minute match. But when the Anvil came in, he was the muscle. He's going to break down that other opponent, get Brett back in there to finish him off. and that's kind of the style that they've done with Shania and with Team Shania. So it
I got saying it solo.
It kind of works. So I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Like once you have an idea what you want to do with Shayna Baszler in the singles division, by all means, get her out of the tag division. But I'd rather see her featured and people remember that she's there and is a great wrestler and she's different from everybody else on the roster, that she's there and at the forefront of people's minds, then she's just kind of faded into oblivion.
Well, that's just it, though. Let me be clear. It's less about the team. I actually don't mind the team of Nia and Shayna, but I think they would be more impactful, particularly Shayna, as a solo act, because their singles women's roster on Raw needs more bodies, more legitimate bodies. You know, I'm not sold on Peyton Royce and all these. I mean, no offense, but
I mean, yeah, and that is the sad thing, and yeah, it does come down to booking, because you know, like looking over the roster, like I'm gonna run down the women's roster on Raw. Alexa Bliss, we know Alexa Bliss.
She's tied up on another
tied up another story, but we know how great she is, character and in the ring. Asuka, obviously. Becky Lynch, whenever she comes back, technically still listed on the Raw roster. Charlotte Flair, obviously know the story. Then you got Dana Brooke. She still needs work. I still say she should have been in NXT for longer. Right. Lacey Evans, who's now pregnant.
Yeah.
Lana, who is in a tag team with Naomi. Mandy Rose, who's been doing the tag work with Dana. And that's the thing, like the Raw has been very tag heavy recently. Naomi should absolutely be featured.
Don't get me started on that. The last year,
that she should be one of the most featured single stars.
Well, it's funny because when she got drafted to Raw in October, one of the reasons why I was excited about that is because on the SmackDown side, it was so crowded, so top heavy that she really didn't have any way of standing out. Raw gave you opportunity, but yet she's not doing anything.
Yeah, she did have surgery. I don't remember when she had surgery, so she was out for a little while, recovering from surgery. But now that she's back, and I get, they're trying to do this, and don't get me wrong, Lana has improved tenfold in the last year,
right?
Both in the ring and in her character. I think she's gotten really good. But if they want to do the tag team thing, you can find somebody else than Naomi. And I get like they want to get eyes on the tag pro. Then also you got Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, obviously Shayna, and that's it. And like the thing that's really a shame is like, I mean, Nikki Cross is great. We saw the work she put in.
Yeah, but she's done a main better though.
Tremendous in the ring. And like Peyton Royce, like when they broke up the Iconics, the word was the reason they did it is because Peyton was going to get the singles push. Great. Peyton Royce is a really good wrestler. Unfortunately, the thing we found out is, does she need the character of Billie Kay to make her better? Because without Billie Kay, I don't know if she has a ton of personality. And I think that might be some of the problem. And like Billie Kay kind of shining in this, in this, handing out her promo pictures and that kind of role that she has on SmackDown. I'm like, man, just move her to Raw, trade her to Raw, get her with, even if you want her to wrestle, like have her be, kind of this de facto manager for, almost like Mr. Perfect was with Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Like,
great analogy.
Flair didn't need legitimacy, but when you have something extra on the outside,
adds to the package.
Exactly. And that would help Peyton Royce. So like, the Raw women's division needs a shot in the arm. And you know what? I know they're announcing Rhea Ripley. I don't know when. I don't know when she's
done a promo yesterday, right?
Is she coming? Did they say when she's coming up? I think I missed.
It's coming soon, which means
they
coming soon.
That last week too.
I imagine that's 2 weeks.
Whether that means, is it right before Fastlane? Is it at Fastlane? Is it the Raw after Fastlane? I don't know.
Like Fastlane
that should be a shot in the arm. And maybe this whole Charlotte thing, Charlotte coming out last night and saying like, I want a shot at the title, and It should be me at WrestleMania and this and that. Maybe it's smoke and mirrors. By the way, I just noticed that your shirt's Queen, and that's badass.
Yes, thank you.
But like, and maybe I don't know, maybe because I know they like to get a lot of people on Mania. Maybe it's going to be Asuka, Charlotte, and Rhea Ripley, at WrestleMania in a triple threat. So, but hopefully Rhea is going to be the shot in the arm that the Raw Women's Division needs.
My fear is they're going to misuse her in the same way they misused Shayna. Rhea Ripley should be the next Bianca Belair, the next star. Like the way that she was handling NXT, she should be the next major star in the company, like Becky Lynch huge. Like that's the way I see her.
Yeah, and I think the only reason I say that I think I'm not as afraid of her being misused like they have with Shayna is Rhea is better on the mic.
Oh, without question.
And again, it's unfortunate, but when you have sports entertainment, there's multiple elements. They can't be just wrestling,
right? But again, this is also, and not to sound like not to bring up sexism in a second, but you have that problem in the men's side with certain guys like Brock Lesnar. So you fix that by giving a mouthpiece. Exactly. Why couldn't you do the same thing with Shayna?
And they should. They really should.
That's all I'm saying. Staying with NXT real quick. Haven't really been watching it much. Obviously I've been tuning in, like what's going on, following what's going on, but haven't been able to watch all the shows. But Adam Cole, there's new directions going in now. Back, him and the Undisputed Era pretty much breaking up now. I mean, they're broken up now, right?
I mean, based on last week when he was going to shake Roddy's hand and he hit him in the dick. I mean, that's fairly so big shot across the bow, man. And it was, and I jokingly tweeted it, but it kind of had the Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty feel to it.
Sure did.
Because everybody thought that, maybe he kicked O'Reilly. He was just frustrated, whatever. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. They're going to get back together. It's not going to break up. And then when he did what he did to Roddy Strong last week, it was like that dagger right through the heart. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of are Fish and O'Reilly and Strong going to kind of keep the family together while Adam Cole's doing whatever Adam Cole's going to do.
Yeah.
Or if it's just a full break, I think you're better off. I think you're better off doing a full break because I don't, I almost compare it like when Shawn Michaels went home and DX kind of had to stay together and reform itself. I don't think you can do that with the Undisputed Era. I think the Undisputed Era was something kind of special on its own. So
literally a click. Literally.
So yeah. So I don't think you want to try to put Finn Balor in there as the leader or something like that.
Nah, that's not gonna work.
I think he kind of has to go away for a while, and it'll be back. I mean, the best thing about factions and families in wrestling is they eventually always come back together. So
of course.
But man, I love to see where it's going. I think Adam Cole is kind of one of those guys that has people's attention, and people love Adam Cole. They love to love him, they love to hate him. So he's just kind of one of those guys, and he's actually from the next town over from me originally. He went to like a Christian school.
Oh wow.
15 minutes from my house. So it's always kind of cool. I know there's been not when we were in the indie scene locally, but beforehand, he used to just go to shows and just kind of sit and watch.
Wow.
If he wasn't working a show, even when he was with the Ring of Honor and stuff, if he was in town, he would go to shows. So he's a great dude, and so hopefully he will. There'll be big things for him coming.
So there's rumors circling about NXT possibly moving to Tuesday nights in April. I don't hate that actually.
No, and it doesn't surprise me. I think I kind of put these pieces together. I thought one of two things was going to happen because obviously we're sports guys as well. We saw the news a little while back that NBC was going to be shutting down NBC Sports Network
Right.
Well, what does NBC Sports Network have every Wednesday night during hockey season? They have a national hockey game. So I was like, well, that's not going to go away. So if they're shutting down NBC Sports Network, the Wednesday game has to go somewhere. Well, you look at what the NHL playoffs does. They go to CNBC, they go to USA. USA gets bigger ratings. People watch USA Network. People who want to watch CNBC watch CNBC. So that national game is going to go to the USA Network. You know, they put tennis on there. They put the dog show on there. It's going to go to USA Network. So you're going to have NXT preempted from what, October through June? It's going to be moving. And my thought is, then they announced the Peacock deal. I thought, okay, well, maybe they'll just put it back on the network. And that'll make people, if they weren't going to subscribe to the network on Peacock, which again, if you're already subscribed to the network, you can literally save $5
Great deal, man.
To get the same thing you have now. You can save $5, or like me, I have Xfinity. I get the $5 Peacock with my Xfinity, so I'm literally getting it for no added cost.
In fact, my wife today she called me. She's asking me, or she texted me rather, asking if check to see if Harry Potter's on there, which it is.
Oh, nice.
So and I told her once we the network is on, combined with on Peacock, then we'll pay for Peacock.
Gotcha.
Unless they give us the other instructions to how to transfer information over, but we'll see.
Right. Yeah.
Because I have Peacock, but I have the free version.
I think you told me that before. So and you can also pay for the ad-free one for $10. So
which I'll be doing anyway.
For the same prices you're paying for the network now. I thought maybe that'll get more people if they, have NXT and they haven't had the network, maybe they'll jump over there. But then I thought too, it's like maybe they're just going to move them and to keep them on USA, but move them to a different night. And Tuesday night seemed like the best option. I guess you could have done it on Thursday, but then you're going to compete with Thursday night football in the fall.
Yeah.
So you might as well move to Tuesday.
It's a familiar night too, because SmackDown was just there a couple years ago.
Right. So. And I think NXT used to be I guess it never was on Tuesdays, but they've moved it to Tuesdays sometimes if they had to be preempted off Wednesdays before. So I'm like, to me, it makes a lot of sense. It does, and it's nothing about a war. It's nothing about winning or losing. It's none of that silly stuff that I'm sure some of the dirt sheet writers and people that want to make things out of it that aren't there. But it was going to happen. NXT was going to be moving at some point. And instead of moving it to Peacock, they moved it up to Tuesday night.
Right. Okay, so the real reason why I wanted you on the pod today, because I wanted to react to the Wrestling Observer newsletter awards that Dave Meltzer puts out. Have his 300 fans of the newsletter give their opinions on ranking their things. Now we discussed
it. Slammy Awards.
Now we covered this a little bit. I say a little bit, actually, quite a lot on the Takes Three Wrestling podcast.
You guys went long form on it.
I didn't plan to. We just kind of just did it, and we honestly we didn't even finish it. So I was told Mike we could literally split this thing into 2 episodes, honestly. But I want to go over with you a little bit about it. One thing's clear, and we said this on Take 3 on Saturday, and I think you would probably agree with me on this. This is very AEW heavy. AEW marks to the nth degree.
Absolutely. And
annoying.
And I know that it's not Dave Meltzer awarding awards. However, it's Dave Meltzer's
nudging
letter. He's like the head of the Wrestling Observer. When you think Wrestling Observer, you think Dave Meltzer, you think Brian Alvarez. These guys are AEW marks.
Are you a subscriber of the newsletter?
I'm not. I'm not a subscriber to any of the newsletters and things like that. I never have been, because I figure like the biggest news that's going to be news is going to get out there.
Right.
I know a few people that know a few people in the wrestling journalism business.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not me trying to fluff my feathers and make myself sound good, but I mean, we've been podcasting for 7 years. We've worked on the local indie scene in Central PA for a few years, like, and you make connections, you meet people, and so if there's things that need to be found out, I we have the capability of finding them out, or they're just going to break on, they'll hit the Observer newsletter, or whatever at 10 a.m. They'll be on PW Mania at noon. I just want, or it'll be on Twitter in an hour. Like,
and I think you got to pay for it too to do it.
Yeah, I don't pay for, The Athletic. I don't pay for ESPN Plus or anything like that. I just don't. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. If people are into that, they're into it. But like, so it's Meltzer's creation, and we see the way Meltzer tweets. We see the way Meltzer, the way he treats AEW with things, and the way he treats WWE with things are very different, and other companies as well. So like, it's no surprise to me that when they put out these awards, that the voters, the people that are in that circle, are going to vote the rhetoric that they portray. I mean, not to bring up our favorite sports writer Clay Travis,
Bro Kick.
But like, when the cult leader of Bro Kick puts out a poll on his Twitter, it's no surprise when 93% of the people vote the way, the same tenor and rhetoric and tone that Clay puts out there, because it's the people that listen to and follow Clay. So it's no surprise when the AEW, the Wrestling Observer Awards,
right,
flip, when it's those awards, it ends up being.
But it's so
AEW.
Grossly heavy-handed AEW. And look, I'm accused of being an AEW mark on my own podcast, and even I disagree with some of these selections. Like, for example, okay, so the only good thing about the Wrestler of the Year I did like, that really stuck to me. At least they showed Bayley some love. At least Bayley got some love. Number 6.
Yeah.
Among a lot of men.
But too low. Yeah.
Is Jon Moxley number 1? Is he top 3 Wrestler of the Year last year? Yeah. Top 3. I'll give it to you. But why the hell is Drew McIntyre number 5?
Right. Like, who are the other 3 that were above him?
Okay, well, was a lot of these people also like New Japan wrestlers too, like Naito and Kenny Omega's number 2. Kenny Omega was great last year, but Kenny Omega also was a tag team last year.
Yeah,
most of the year.
Kenny Omega did not have a better year than Drew McIntyre.
No, he did not, and that's not a knock on Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's amazing, but stop.
Drew McIntyre, literally, because I mean, is it literally for January to December 2020? Like,
that's what I assume. It's like from pillar to post 2020.
So Drew McIntyre's year was literally win the Royal Rumble by eliminate Brock Lesnar and win the Royal Rumble, beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the title, and pretty much carry the WWE Championship, with the exception of losing it for a month to Randy Orton.
Yeah.
He had the WWE Championship for a calendar year, and carried the company on his back.
Oh, by the way, he beat Seth Rollins. He beat Bobby Lashley.
Right.
He beat Randy Orton twice.
During the most difficult time and not just the WWE, but in the WWE's history, at least since the steroid trial, an empty arena, era of professional wrestling. Drew McIntyre carried, that company on his back, and especially because from WrestleMania until SummerSlam, Roman Reigns wasn't even in the mix on SmackDown. So like, Drew was like the face of the men's WWE, and carried that company, carried the brand. Yeah, I mean, just he definitely got disrespected being at number 5.
Yeah, tag team of the year, for example. Like, I'm okay with the teams that are on the list, but the order again is, to me, is a little messy. Like, okay, I'm not a big Young Bucks fan personally. I hate tassels, that. They're phenomenal in the ring though. But Kenny Omega and Adam Page, that match against Young Bucks alone in Revolution last year should put them number 1. Why is Bayley and Sasha number 5?
Right, they should have been higher.
Much higher than that.
Where were the Street Profits?
They weren't even on the fucking list.
How?
Like I'm saying, it's ridiculous. But yet, time for them. But here's the fucked up part, and they've been misused like hell, and yet they're number 10 on this list. How the fuck is Santana Ortiz number 10?
I know. It's baffling, man. It's true. It's truly baffling, and like I
put
get
it this way: Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler should be higher than them.
Yeah, probably. As sad as that is, and I get WWE isn't the bastion for tag team wrestling. I get that. Like, but when tag teams are great they're really good.
Right.
And the Street Profits were.
Yeah. How about the weekly TV show that stood out here? You have number 1, AEW Dynamite, obviously. Okay. NXT number 2, for the record. Which I agree with that. Raw is not even in the top 10. And look, I get Raw as Raw last year was up and down. I totally get that. But you cannot tell me that Raw is not at least a top 10 wrestling show.
Right. Like what? Read off the top 10 because I honestly.
Okay, so Dynamite 1, NXT 2, Being the Elite is number 3. The fucking YouTube show.
Right. It's not even a TV show.
How about this shit? AW Dark.
Like here's the deal. Like okay, so in defense, quote unquote, of Being the Elite, like I get that YouTube, especially in today's world, can be considered television. It is.
Which it is.
But like it's not a wrestling show. It's like a documentary show about wrestlers. Like if you were talking about the best football games of the year, would Hard Knocks make the top 10? No, because it's not a football game. It's a documentary about a football team. Like that's what the Elite is.
So how about this? AW Dark number 4. 1 hour and 17-minute matches in fucking 1 hour.
Talk about that almost every week about just the number of matches.
They gotta stop that shit, dude.
Like, look, I understand you're trying to feature people, but like, I don't ever want to hear. And here's the deal: like, you can believe what you want about WWE, you can believe what you want about AEW. I don't ever want to hear somebody tell me as a WWE fan that there's too much WWE programming. Yeah, there's 3 hours of Raw. What's main event? An hour, 205 Live. Then you have NXT and SmackDown.
I don't watch any of that stuff.
I mean, I don't either. But like, if we're gonna put out what's out there, that's 3 hours of Raw. 2 more, so it's 5, 6, 7. There's 9 hours of WWE programming a week.
Mm-hmm.
So AEW, you have 2 hours of Dynamite. You have anywhere between an hour 10 and 2.5 hours of AEW Dark.
Ridiculous.
You have Being the Elite, because if you want to know what's happening storyline wise in AEW, you're gonna have to watch Being the Elite because they don't tell you about it on AEW.
Is that worth watching though? Or no,
I've never watched it.
Yeah,
but I know they carry storylines on that show.
They do.
Yeah, they've done it. They've done it since the beginning. So like however long that is, what, half an hour, 40 minutes.
It's like them watching Cody and Brandy. You fucking talk about for family life and like.
And now we're getting AEW Dark Elevation, which is going to be with Paul White and Shivani on commentary on Mondays. So don't tell me that WWE has too much content in a week. AEW is doing the same damn thing. But yeah, Dark being above SmackDown and Raw is a joke.
Yeah. Round out the last 6 here. So Dark is 4, SmackDown's 5, New Japan Strong is 6, Ring of Honor is 7, Impact 8, MLW Fusion 9, and NXT UK number 10. NXT UK is better than Raw? Like, stop.
Yeah,
they didn't have any shows last year.
If you like chest chops and like beardy guys, sure. And I'm not shitting on NXT UK, but like the British wrestling is British wrestling,
right?
Like,
and
Raw should be higher on the list. I'm not saying it should be number 1,
but also there was a half a year of no wrestling in the NXT UK.
Right. There was months without Ring of Honor. Impact, I think, had paused a time or two. MLW was paused for a while. Raw never stopped. SmackDown never stopped. NXT never stopped. SmackDown should have been above NXT if we're gonna be real serious about it.
Well, I'll tell you what. NXT tailed off the second half of the year, whereas SmackDown picked up, and SmackDown was kind of to start the year. So I draw even on that one because NXT. Cause I tell you what, NXT start 2020 was off to the races, phenomenal.
It was, but even before Roman came back, I thought SmackDown was picking up steam. And obviously, ever since he came back, SmackDown has been the best wrestling show week in, week out, at least in the US.
Yeah. Women's MVP. I actually agree with this. Number one's Bayley. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I would too. If this would have been a half-year award, it would have been Asuka.
Right.
But somewhere around late summer, early fall, Asuka started to plateau and come down because it got convoluted. But absolutely, Bayley. I agree.
You got Awatani number 2. I mean, I guess it's New Japan, I guess. But Sasha 3. Okay. Asuka 4. Hikaru Shida's 5. A little too high for that. I like Hikaru Shida, but that's too high.
Yeah.
Only because Io Shirai is behind her.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta sell me on that. And again, I like Shida a lot. She's cute, but number 10, 3-way tie between Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, and Hana Kimura. Britt Baker was hurt, but Britt Baker made a lot of impact while hurt.
Yeah, and I'll give that credit. It was kind of a weird year, because Charlotte was gone, Becky was gone, Sasha and Bayley absolutely killed it. Asuka killed it for a while, but in NXT, I mean, Io was kind of the biggest thing because Rhea had kind of disappeared there for a little while, and I think they got that one right though. That one they got fairly right. Shida maybe a little high. The AEW women's division is still not where it needs to be.
Oh, of course, without question. Now, Feud the Year. I have somewhat issue with the first couple, although number 2 would have been number 1 had he stayed alive. It was Cody and Brody. Cody and Brody was about to be the best feud of the year.
I agree.
Had he stayed alive.
I agree.
Edge and Randy Orton, number 10. Where's Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre? Not in the top 10 at all.
Yeah, because I mean, Edge and Randy Orton was great, but it was very short.
Right. But where's Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre though? Not in the top 10.
Yeah, it should have been up there. So what was that? What was actually number 1?
Moxley and Kingston, which was good. Not number 1 good.
Number 1. It was a couple of weeks. And I get it. Like, they have history, on the indie scene and this and that. But man, come on,
dude.
I love Kingston.
Their top 7 is all AEW related feuds.
Sasha and Bayley, man. Sasha and Bayley should have been
not on the list. Not on the list at all.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I understand that their feud, quote unquote, was short lived, but you could see that building for a while when they were
only WWE feuds on this list is Roman Reigns and Jey Uso at number 8, and then like I said, Edge and Randy Orton number 10.
Yeah, Drew and Randy should have been up there. Edge and Randy. I still think Edge and Randy could have been higher. Somewhere around like 6, 7, because that was so good. You go back and you watch from when Orton RKO'd Beth Phoenix and stuff like man, it was good. It was good. Yeah, like the Drew and Randy, that was 70% of the year.
Yeah.
And it was good. And that's the thing, it was good. They had a good ambulance match. How does that not make a feud of the year?
Right. Okay, so check this out. Most overrated. Now, what they mean is most overpushed. Okay. I tend to agree with part of this list. Except a few. Let me go backwards. Number 9, Charlotte Flair. I can see that, but I'm not going to make the case.
Well, if their argument is overpushed, she was gone for most of the year.
Right.
Like I get she won the NXT Women's title, but
that's probably why I think the thought is that she stunted Rhea Ripley's potential to But then again, Rhea spent a part of the year getting people over too, like Shirai and others. So.
And we continue.
Right. Tie at number 8 between Seth Rollins and The Miz.
Okay.
2020, Seth Rollins heel. I disagree with that because Seth Rollins, the heel character, got over.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And again,
The Miz. I mean,
if they want to call it over push, call it over push. Don't call it overrated. Like, Seth and The Miz are great at what they do. Charlotte's great at what she does.
I'm kind of surprised there's an next AEW guy on this list. Number 7, Cody Rhodes.
I'd kind of agree with that.
I kind of agree with it too. I'm surprised he's on the list.
And it sounds weird because, like, I mean, sure, he had the TNT title and then he lost it to Brody, won it back. But then once he lost it to Darby, he really disappeared.
Yeah.
But I mean, every week when you have a Triple H WrestleMania style entrance, I mean that seems a little low.
His interest over the top.
To me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. Number 6, Goldberg. I agree 100%. Should be higher on this list. Goldberg. Anytime Goldberg's even in earshot, he's overrated. Fucking guy. Look, I don't hate Goldberg. I just don't want to see him on TV anymore.
It's not even that I don't want to see him on TV. I don't want to see him in my title picture. You want to bring him back? You want to elevate somebody? Sure, that's fine.
Number 5, I know my co-host loves this one. Joe, Braun Strowman. Yeah. I'm over Strowman, dude. I'm over it.
I guess because he came in, he filled the Roman spot at Mania. Otherwise, I don't feel
even
like
before that. I think what cooled up for me, honestly, me and Joe, was that he made some comments about people not, complaining about the business and shit. And
I agree.
He's in a good spot.
I mean, that's where you got a question of, are you going to separate reality from character? But like, here's the thing. Like, I mean, after he lost the title, he kind of went away for a little while. I think he had an operation. Even when he came back, like, he was used kind of sparingly. And I get, like, it kind of sucks that he took that spot. But if you're going to have somebody beat Goldberg, I didn't necessarily hate it. I mean, I'm not the biggest Braun guy. I think they missed the huge opportunity. But
he's his best days behind him. His best days behind him, definitely. Number 4, Nia Jax.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. This one I disagree with her heavily, but whatever. Number 3 is King Corbin. Not this high anyway.
Yeah, because you know what? He's great at what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's not. He hasn't won titles. He's not going out there and beating guys every night. He's going out there to be a chicken shit heel as the king. And like, here's the deal. My wife is not a wrestling fan. When we've been together, well, this year we've been married 10 years, so we've been together almost 12.
Oh wow, 10 years too for me. My wife also too.
Nice, yeah.
April
16th.
April 4th. April 3rd. Sorry, April 3rd.
Very nice.
Very good.
I always remember it's one day after tax day for us.
Yeah.
But when wrestling, when Raw would start when we were first together, she'd get up and leave. I mean, like, you start seeing Then Now Forever, and she's like making dust trails getting out of the room. Now she kind of hangs in and she watches it, especially right now because, like, with COVID and everything, Ryan doesn't get to come over. We don't get to watch pay-per-views and shows together, so she kind of hangs out with me a little bit during the show. But I've noticed her start to kind of engage a little bit with it. Like, she actually kind of digs like the King Corbin gimmick. Like, she notices like every week he's had kind of a different crown as of late, and it's like, where's his cape and his stuff? And so, like, she gets into some of this stuff. The King gimmick is really great for what it is. He executes it well. Corbin's a guy that's gotten infinitely better over the last couple of years. So, like, you want to put him on this list? Okay, sure, but he shouldn't be that high.
Top 3 King all time in WWE history. Macho King, maybe King Harley Race, and then
King Booker, maybe.
King Booker, yeah, that's a good point.
King Booker was a strong king.
Yeah.
I don't know. True. I'm trying to remember if we covered that. We did something with King.
King bracket.
We did something with Kings on our show, but Booker came up as a
Savage is probably number 1 and number 2.
Probably, yeah, obviously.
So great. Number 2 was Evil. I think that's New Japan, I believe. Number 1 was Bray Wyatt.
Wrong.
I totally agree with you.
I mean,
Totally agree
again,
with you.
if you're and again, you have to look at audience of the Observer newsletters. You're looking at guys that are theoretically AEW fans love pro wrestling, even though they're a sports entertainment show, and
Right.
it's guys that are into Japanese wrestling, which obviously
Right.
the Fiend ain't getting anywhere near, and Bray Wyatt ain't getting anywhere near. But like most push, most overrated. I mean, he's a featured act, but he's not out there winning titles, and he's not out there. Yeah, no, that's he shouldn't even be on the list.
So the underrated list, I kind of agree with for the most part. So let me go backwards. Number 9, Aleister Black, absolutely underrated.
I'd agree.
Misused. Send him to AEW, man, please.
I think he's on his way. I don't know when his contract expires.
Yeah.
But it was Zelina parting ways. I think it's only a matter of time.
Great fit in AEW. Great fit.
I agree.
Number 8 is Toa Hanera. I know who he is. So I'm sorry. 7, Ray Phoenix. I don't know if we call him under push, underrated. But, I mean, granted, they had less matches last year because of COVID, but they do get their shine. I don't know. They get their shine.
I could see that one. I don't think it's all
right. Ishii, number 6. This one I disagree with, actually, because he did get pushed when he came to Raw immediately. Keith Lee. I disagree with that.
Yeah.
He got a shine.
I mean, he was kind of a featured player right away, and I guess you could make the argument that it didn't result in any title wins or anything. But like,
yeah, but he was in the picture already.
If he gets a title win, then people are going to say that he was pushed too quickly. So
yeah,
I disagree with that one a little bit.
Yeah, me too. The tie. This one I totally completely agree with. On number 4, tie between Cesaro and Mustafa Ali.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree with that one.
Yeah.
3, Riddle. 2, Chad Gable. Well, Shorty G.
Yeah.
And number 1, I know my guy's gonna hate this, but I don't give a shit. Ricochet. Under pushed. Absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah. I don't think they know what to do with him.
Right.
And it's a shame because, like, I mean, here's the thing. I've seen that guy live. You think he's good on screen.
Mm-hmm.
If you see Ricochet live, it is baffling to see a human being move like that.
Yeah.
It defies logic. I just don't think WWE, I don't think they know it because he's not a heavyweight. He's not your prototypical Intercontinental Champion. So maybe he's a U.S. champion. But I feel like that's his peak in the WWE, sadly. I think he's a guy that would, and as much as I love him, I think he's a guy that would benefit either back in NXT or somewhere else, unfortunately.
Check this one out. This is an interesting one here. Best TV announcer.
Okay.
Want to take a stab who number 1 is?
Probably Excalibur.
Correct.
I think I did see that one.
He's good. I like him.
Good.
He's good in the voice of the AEW, though.
My problem with the AEW commentary table is you have 3 play-by-play guys that constantly step on each other.
Yeah, they do.
It's not, and I particularly get keyed into stuff like that. And I don't think anybody on WWE is great as presented because they have too much stuff going on. It's always somebody in their ear. Plug this product, plug this show on the network, plug this, plug that. Like when Michael Cole, I think it was one of the UK tournaments or something like that, and Michael Cole just got to call matches. Michael Cole is actually really good at what he does.
Oh, of course, he's annoying though.
But the reason why people don't like him is, first off, he did that heel run, like with like Lawler or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think people really hated him for that. But like, now you basically just become a running commercial.
Right.
But that's not his fault. That's the WWE's fault. But yeah, because I've done commentary on local indie shows, and with the 3 count guys, and we kind of go in. It's like, I know that and there are going to be times, like there's times with Buck and Aikman where Aikman will call a play because he's talking, and Russell Wilson breaks out of a sack. Aikman's got to call that action because he's talking. I get that. But AEW, it's all the time. They're constantly stepping on each other, and it's bothersome because, like, on our commentary team, generally, I kind of take take care of the play-by-play stuff, and then we like one of the guys is kind of like the heel color guy, and the other one's kind of the face color guy, and we have a great rapport with each other. So, we know that, we understand that, and we try not to step on each other's toes. AEW, it bothers me all the time. You know, like Jim Ross is I love JR. I love JR.
I know you're going with this.
But like, I feel like JR, the role he would be best in right now is when he's doing like the sit down interviews with like FTR. Mm-hmm. I think JR is great in that spot. I don't think JR is great at calling matches anymore. And it's a shame. Yeah. And I think I think he's old. I think he's tired. I think that, obviously the death of his wife, that's gonna fuck anybody up, man. Like, speaking
of JR, he was number 4 on both the best and worst announcer.
Dude, that's another goofy ass thing about that list, because like they had Bray Wyatt as like most overrated, right? But then like he was like, it was like best gimmick. He was like number 6, and he was the number 1 worst gimmick. I'm like, in all of fucking wrestling,
make up your fucking mind.
Like, how is that even possible? If you're taking all of fucking wrestling, how is he the number 1 worst? You say that
as wearing a Bray Wyatt t-shirt on this podcast.
Bray's my dude, man.
Yeah.
But like, how are they the best and the worst? It's not like Tom Brady, you're Super Bowl champions, and you're also the number 1 pick in the draft.
Right.
Like, it doesn't fucking work that way.
Yeah, pick your circumstance. Worst announcer, number 1, Michael Cole. No surprise there. Michael Cole is great what he does. Maybe clear with that. He's great what he does. But he's always annoyed me, even back in the late 90s.
That's fair. I like I said, I'm trying to remember exactly what tournament it was, and if I can't remember it now, I'll text you if I ever come up with it.
Okay.
But like, it was one of the UK tournaments, I think, when he just got to call action. He's actually really good.
It was excellent.
But it's
annoying.
It's time. I think he's one of those. It's time for Mike, and maybe COVID threw a wrench into that, because I felt like he was kind of winding down last year. But now you kind of need that familiar voice. I thought the first SmackDown in the Performance Center, when it was him and Triple H, that was great. I don't know if you specifically.
I saw it. Yeah, that was the first show.
Those two guys together, and really, I think because Triple H was just fucking with him the whole night.
Right.
But that was fun. I'd like to see them put that team back together for a night.
Here comes the big dog. Stop doing that. You gain back Michael Gracie together.
That's Vince telling him what to do.
Right. Fucking Vince. Or
somebody in the back. That's or it's boss time.
It's boss time. Yeah. I completely disagree with this one. Number 2 is his partner, Corey Graves. I think Corey Graves is great. I think, and again, the reason I like him, he reminds me of Jesse Ventura.
He's great.
Reminds me of Jesse Ventura. That's why.
Yeah. He's also dating Carmella, so he's automatically in a better spot in my book.
Right. Yeah, a lot of they shit on the WWE guys badly. Obviously. Number 6, Byron Saxton, who I'm not really a big fan of personally, but whatever.
Yeah, he's kind of that goofy role. Yeah. He plays that goofy role.
But Tom Phillips, too? I love Tom Phillips.
Phillips is good. Phillips amazing. Is good. Phillips and Samoa Joe together, that's a solid team, dude. That's a solid commentary team.
By the way, worst TV show was WWR. So there you go. There's a reason why.
The watch along. Ryan and I recorded a watch along today, and the commentary team on that one is one that I think is actually pretty underrated. Vince McMahon, Mr. Perfect.
Ooh,
I liked that commentary team.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the good ones.
You know what one I didn't like? I didn't like Vince McMahon and Roddy Piper.
Is it because you didn't like Piper?
No, Piper's just too much.
Okay, I can see that. I don't. Did they go a long time with that pairing? Like, because I remember it was like around. I know he was on like one of the pay-per-views.
So he started in July of '90. He did SummerSlam '90 because Jesse left the company in July.
Of SummerSlam '90.
And Piper was there.
SummerSlam '90.
You loved it?
I love SummerSlam.
Oh, 90. Of course, absolutely. I saw that real time actually.
I have the VHS. Right.
I used to have the VHS too. I used to have it.
And it was the big ass box, the one that came with a toothbrush in it.
Double main event.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that was I saw it in real time. Also, I was 10 years old.
I was 5. I don't think I saw that one. No, I know I didn't see that one live.
I saw actually SummerSlam 89 and 90 in real time.
Nice. I think the first pay-per-view I remember seeing in real time was WrestleMania 7.
Oh, really? I saw that one in real time too. That's the first one my mom ever actually ordered. I had to beg her to do it.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, Piper could be much. I love SummerSlam 90, but I couldn't listen to him on commentary every week.
It's too much. He's too much. What you I want you to guess this. Best gimmick of 2020. Should be easy.
Was it Brody Lee?
He's number 2, actually.
Okay. That's number 1.
Orange Cassidy.
Good Christ.
That makes sense though. That does make sense though.
Well, yeah, considering the audience. To
right.
me,
I mean,
it was the Fiend still. I mean, the way that, and it's because of the way that they utilized the Performance Center and the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
For Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, Alexa Bliss. I mean,
so there's only one WWE guy in this list. Roman Reigns, number 3.
How? Like, I'm sorry.
Well, because the heel turn was.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm sorry. There's 2 WWE guys in this. The Fiend, number 8. But the Fiend was the worst. As you said a while ago, the Fiend's the worst gimmick.
Yeah, Fiend should have been higher.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But you know, and like, here's the thing, because I jokingly refer to them as the AEW Slammy Awards, but the thing that to me is more annoying about it is like the WWE writes their own award show. This is supposed to be an objective, journey, and I get it. It's fan voting, but like, you're supposed to be a journalistic newsletter. There's no, and I get it. We're talking about pro wrestling, so you got to take it all with a grain of salt. But like, theoretically, there's supposed to be a degree of integrity, journalistic integrity, whatever, attached to it. And there just isn't this. There isn't. And it's not even the way the voting went. It's the way that Meltzer has gone out of his way to defend it. That's the stuff that, if you just say, look, man, like, I don't necessarily agree with it, is how the people voted. Like, here's the thing, like, if you have a journalist reporting on America's Got Talent, you can be like, if somebody clearly not talented, if so less talented lost to somebody, you can be like, well, there's just the way America voted. I can't really defend it, but America spoke, and that's who won. But Dave's like, no, this is how it is, and Orange Cassidy is the best, and best TV show, and whatever, man. Like, Tony Khan, Booker of the Year, like, I get it. There's not one guy writing a book in WWE, but like, how many weeks are we gonna have a 12-man tag match every week? Everybody wants to laugh at like Teddy Long and his tag matches. How many straight weeks have we had a 10-man, 8-man, 12-man tag on Dynamite?
Right.
Every week for the past 6 weeks.
Exactly.
It's a year in my ass, dude. Like, that show's gotten and guess what? It happens. It's hard to write weekly TV. It's the same stuff. I said this back before Dynamite started. I said they're going to run into the same problems WWE's having. It's hard to write weekly TV every week and make it make sense and make it good. And then, look, you guys, wins and losses. You have a wins and loss standing, and it doesn't make sense. So how are you going to say Booker of the Year when you're going to have guys that are challenging for titles that aren't even in your rankings list?
Right, agree.
Doesn't make sense. How is it? WWE, you may not understand how Miz can win 3 matches in a calendar year and end up as WWE champion, without the exception of like, well, he won Money in the Bank, but like, they don't have a standings board. You can't go to a power ranking and say, well, Miz wasn't even on the power rankings list. You have that in AEW, and constantly guys that are number 1, number 2, number 3 on the weekly rankings aren't in the title pictures. And how make it make sense? And it doesn't. But people, and I get it, they've been doing it for 2 years, and WWE's been doing it for 60. But like
60 years,
you want to walk into the room swinging your dick around, and then you run out of the ability to say, well, we've only been doing it for 2 years.
Right. Hold on a second.
Stop waving your dick around, man. Like, it's not, that's the frustrating part to me.
Right. Totally with you on that. All right. Fuck this Wrestling Observer bullshit. Let's get to the last thing we told you to go.
So before we spin off of wrestling, like, I was hoping, I keep refreshing Tony Khan's Twitter, because 8 hours ago, Tony Khan tweeted, I just had a long talk with a good friend, and I'm going to make a significant change to one of the matches for AEW Dynamite tomorrow. An announcement will be coming soon. Thank you very much to the great fans who support AEW and all pro wrestling and wrestlers. That was 8 hours ago. There's been no mention of it. So I keep refreshing it to see if I'm missing something. And he hasn't updated it since then. So I don't know how he defines soon. But I'll keep refreshing as we're going. I have the screen right in front of me. But I'll see if he hits it before we go off the air. But
real quick before we go, because I think one of my kids might be up. I'm not sure yet. Real quick. So you're binging Family Matters.
I am.
How's that going?
Dude, it's fun. And we were kind of talking about it when my wife and I first started watching it. And it very quickly went from like the Winslow family story to the Steve Urkel show.
Yep. Quick.
And it happened quick. And it's obviously when it happens week to week and then end of season to new season start, you don't realize how quickly it happened. But when you're watching sometimes 2-3 episodes a day during the week, because we watch it over our lunch. My wife gets an hour for her lunch. I'm unfortunately not working right now, so we sit and we eat lunch together.
Convenient though, huh?
It is, man. It's nice. I'm gonna miss it when I finally do get back to go to work.
Right.
But yeah, it very quickly became all about Steve. And the fun thing I like to do, because we had already binged through Step by Step during quarantine as well. And I started doing this because like some episodes I kind of remember, some I don't, especially now. We're late into season 5. So I'm kind of, I don't remember seeing a lot of these. I like to try and predict what's going to happen. So like we were watching one at dinner tonight, and it was the one where Carl and Eddie were going to go camping up in Canada before Eddie went off to college. And then Waldo comes along, and then Steve wasn't going to come along, but he helicoptered in and like obviously destroys the camp. So like they first get to the camp, and I said, hey babe, what's going to happen? We were trying to like predict what we think is going to happen, but it's fun, man. And the thing I like about it, and I kind of said this because we were talking about like shows and like The Office was like the most watched show on any service in 2020, and Ryan couldn't believe it. And I said,
I was a part of that because I
think what's happening, I've gone back and I've watched older shows, and like I've watched The League again, because I think what's happening is like for me, with everything else going on, not, being out of work and this and that, and just the stress of everything, I have a hard time focusing on new content. So like I've sat down, I watched like the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. I enjoy it, but like it's hard for me to like attach to something new. Where, obviously sitcoms are an easy watch, but I've gone back and watched things. And
you know what it is though? It's a comfort thing.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a show I know. It's characters I know. Right. I have a relationship with this show.
My wife and I, that show for us is Scrubs.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and like there's I forget the name of the channel, but it's like up super high in our Xfinity. And
right,
but we watch like there's episodes of Home Improvement that run every day. How I Met Your Mother. We'll watch old episodes of Big Bang Theory every now and again. Like we just we love these shows. We have a relationship with these shows, and yeah, right now like it's tough. It's tough to get into anything new if there's not a relationship with it, and I think that's what's happening. So like it's been fun going back, and like. It's it's starting to get silly. I know you warned me that Family Matters starts to get silly.
Yep. Was I right?
Yeah. We've certainly passed the first Stefan episode. So obviously changing your basic structure is a little silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were right too. Laura's a bitch. Terrible person. Laura Winslow, terrible person. Team Myra all the way. I was super bummed to find out that the actress that played her passed away.
Passed away a long time ago, though. She passed away like 23 years ago.
Yeah, not long after the show went off the air. It was like
a year after.
Months. Like, I was super bummed to find that out because I was like, oh, I wonder what.
No, in fact, I think she might actually pass when the show was still on. I believe its final season.
Yeah, because it wasn't long. Like it was like I said, it was like less than 6 months from when the show.
Yeah, 98.
So like it's it's a freaking bummer, man. I was so bummed to see that, but definitely
so
Team
cute,
Myra.
too.
But I'm sure it's going to get even sillier before the.
Yeah.
Well, because at one point, like in the last season, they changed Harriet's, I think, right?
Yeah. Yes, I believe they did. Yes,
I love that.
but then again, the last
Foul
2, 3
change.
seasons are kind of like a blur because I kind of stopped watching
Yeah.
because I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, that kind of thing.
It's like, I mean, like we watched Last Man Standing with Tim Allen, and it was kind of like the modern day Home Improvement with the three daughters and that.
Yeah.
Like after the first season, the oldest daughter changed, and then they had gotten canceled by ABC but picked up by Fox, and when they got picked up by Fox, the middle daughter changed. The middle daughter was a new actress and went from being like a short brunette to a tall blonde. So like it's just kind of funny. Like if you go back and watch stuff like that, if you see a character change that dramatically, but yeah, it's been fun, and it's like you come to appreciate the shows that do kind of age well, but there's definitely some things like I know there was a couple episodes of Step by Step where it's like, oh, that wouldn't have aired today, but also in the same time, man, there's been a couple episodes like some of the racial topics and things that they covered. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is 25 years ago, and it's the same fucking thing.
Only one generation.
It's like, man, and I'm like, this. There's been a couple episodes like this episode could air today.
Yeah,
and and like. And they handle it in a really good way, but yeah, I mean it was a good show. It was a really good show. I'm really enjoying going back through it. I enjoyed when I went back through Step by Step, or because I think there was 9 seasons of Family Matters. So soon,
there's 9 seasons. Yeah,
we're soon gonna have to decide what we go next, unless by some miracle the pandemic actually ends. I get to go back to work, but
yeah.
Because eventually my life will begin again. At least that's what they keep telling me.
Yeah.
But
get vaccinated.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it's been fun. There are some shows that don't age, because I remember on Netflix when the show Dinosaurs, because I remember watching Dinosaurs.
That's on Hulu, by the way, also too.
That show is terrible.
Oh, it is. I look at it now, like I can't watch it.
I think because I tried watching the first episode a couple years ago when it dropped on Netflix, and I texted my parents and I said, I'm sorry you guys had to watch this.
Not the mama.
It was so bad.
Couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
I tried. I did watch it as a kid, but you're a kid, you don't know any better.
But yeah, you don't know any better.
Right. Now as an adult, like I can't watch that shit.
It was bad. It was bad.
On that note, Big Jim, we'll talk soon. Let's check him out, of course. TV Wrestling Podcast every Thursday. Best wrestling podcast on the planet. Huddle Up Podcast is now bi-weekly now, right?
You plugged your Take 3.
They'll get mad, but they'll still get mad at me.
I get it, because like I think there was one time on an episode of Huddle Up I started plugging 3 count stuff. I get it. So yeah. At Big Jim Sports on Twitter. That's where you can find me. 3 Count Thursday nights on Facebook.com/3 Count Thursday. Then I also do Huddle Up. We're kind of
now bi-weekly for a little while.
Yeah, kind of transition to bi-weekly unless something really important jumps out that we have to do a special episode. Or I might do one of these things like if I drive to get make a beer run or something like that. I might jump on and just do a quick recording in the car. And then like you said, I should probably utilize those off weeks to do more discussions with the Nobody. So
keep telling you.
See. I gotta get the creative juices flowing again, especially and maybe once it starts getting a little nicer here, like snow's finally melting in my front yard. So maybe when it starts getting warmer, I'll come out of my hibernation a bit.
Anyway, buddy, we'll talk soon. And like I said, it is Mania season, so lots to look forward to.
Mania season is great.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, man. We'll see you.
All right, buddy. Take it easy. All right, later.